Hi everyone, I'm Heather Danton and I welcome you to our podcast series, Nurturing Knowledge, Indigenous Health Research Stories in Podcasts. I'm a Bardi woman from Derby in the Kimberley, and I'd like to start the podcast by acknowledging the traditional owners of the various countries from where our listeners are located, and pay my respects to elders past and present and emerging leaders. I acknowledge the ongoing contribution of the Next Gen Hub, which is part of OCA. Our guest today is Mettassa Zaro. Mettassa is a clinical research coordinator in the research unit, clinical governance and corporate services in the Townsville University Hospital in Queensland Health. And I will hand over to you, Mettassa, to introduce yourself to however way you would feel comfortable.
Thank you for having me, for starters. I'm a proud Nywaigi, Manbarra, Juru, Dauareb, Miriam, and South Sea Islander man. Currently working on Bindle and Welgarukaba land as we speak, and coming up to my third year in the research space, and I'm quite enjoying it.
What inspired you to pursue a career in health research now that you've been in it for 3 years?
I was currently studying at TAFE in my final stages of doing my Cert 4 in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander primary health practice. And I had a great teacher, a great cohort, and had this opportunity to put my hat in, and I was successful to be able to work on one of the international trials they had here at the hospital. By chance, I needed to complete my hours and have my third party signed off. So what better way to get my foot in the door by working in the space, but also working alongside the nurses and being able to complete those third parties, and quite good. But at first, the opportunity, it was an eye opener at the start. What I was getting into, but as I began this journey, it was a whole new world for me, and I was like, what am I getting myself into? But I was prepared to be a sponge and soak it all up. But little did I know I would become a great asset and continue to learn in the research space.
Mettassa, what cultural values or teachings from your community have guided you towards a career in health research?
Understanding health, it's not just physical, it's social, emotional, cultural, spiritual, well-being, being connected with family, community, connected to country, the identity, who we are too. But seeing these connections and how they influence and goes very well with the research. That's the way we find out more about and new knowledge, with all through respectful ways. So working in this space, I'm happy to, if I have any kind of impact, I want to be able to feed that back into the community. Any breaking thing that I can come up with or be a part of, I want to make sure that it gets back to community, but also create a pathway for the next lot of research within a hospital health setting. Did a bit of reading about, how it is through the universities, but, how could we have something, just at hand in office? Oh, Tassa's there, you can, he's got a team there, in future, but yeah, how good would that be? Having that support on hand, you're approachable, there's access, especially with a lot of the co-researchers that I've got now. They're asking me plenty of these questions. I'm trying to get my work done as well, but it's always good that I love that they're coming up and asking these questions, because I'm able to give them, you give them that information that's more appropriate, that they're going to come across a bit more appropriate in their work and what they do. So it's kind of like just, giving them that advice and guiding them, as well as my own journey through the space. The vision is to have First Nations projects led by First Nations research coordinators. So
that's the vision of OCA and that as well. So
great, yeah,
terrific, Mettassa. So when you say the people that you're talking about, they're non-Indigenous people?
Yeah. When I had the opportunity to come here, I went looking for the black fellas and seeing, who's up here in the space. So, and then I found out it was just me. So I was like, okay, all right. So my thing was to, get to know everyone and what study and trials that they're working on, and just network 6 months later or a year later, we had two more First Nations people start. So it was good to have us three. There was three of us here, and we kind of like, what are you onto? What projects are you looking to, and ideas, and the juice was just flowing, and it was like so good. So it got me pretty excited to, have a bit of mob there, but now I want to build that culture and bond.
Yeah. So you've been there 3 years now, and
Yes.
what impact do you see that you've had on research? Like, obviously, there's more of your mob working there.
It's opened up some eyes now. I guess it's like it's an opportunity not just for myself, but I think the work that we do is quite important, especially with our catchment. We have a very population of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders coming through for their health treatments and checkups and reviews and all that. So what better way to have some more, being asked by a First Nations research coordinator and be able to sit there and take the time. I know nurses and some of the ILOs are at capacity already, but being able to just take your time and look at things a bit more holistically. I think it's pretty much just that time you have. You build that connection and that trust, and they're like, oh, what's this research stuff that now they pretty much cue it too. So, and that's pretty much how I go in my space. I just don't worry about the research. The research stuff comes after. It's about building that connection and how follow that protocol that we, that responsibility that we have as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders in this space. And once they know a sense of where you're coming from, and they can tell a lot by talking for you, because when people, our mobs, they don't want any part of it. Their body language will show that, and they tell a bit about yourself, where you're from, that you're from the same backyard here. But if you have mob coming out from east, west, everywhere, it's always that, treating each other human. We're all human before we are patients. So that connection is very important.
You've done your Cert 4, which is a big accomplishment.
Oh, that was, pretty big for me.
Big for anyone. Can you share any personal or professional goals you have set for yourself as a health researcher?
As I take this journey and continue this journey myself, I just think of not only my daughter for when she grows up and wants to pursue a career in nurse or in health or whatever it may be, hopefully sports. Nah. I just think, for the next lot for coming through, they need to see someone like myself or someone that's from the same backyard doing this type of work, letting them know that it's safe. It's safe. My main thing that I want to probably push is being able to mentor them and have their peer support all the way through this journey. Some of my personal goals as well, in professional goals, is just probably be able to get into my study, but why not do that while I'm doing one of my projects? Make that project that I'm doing my study. I don't know what that looks like yet, but that's the vision, I think. But like I said, we have a great team, support crew around me, everyone's support. But the main thing is probably going a bit permanent here, being part of the core staff in this space, which is quite looking positive, I think, with the short amount of time I've been here. And I've done so much in such a small amount of time, and lovely people like yourself, and even if it was on the other side of the country, and just all about that networking. I didn't realize how powerful it could be. There's people ask me to share my voice and my expertise, and I'm no expert. Like, you really matter at this point. The work that you're doing is very important. So I guess having that drive and that backing from the support I've got here at the Terry team here in Townsville, a big help to the Gunamana team down at the George there in Sydney. They've been so good. I've been doing some work for them over the last 3 years. So hopefully we can continue those connections and maybe have some further mentorship in my future projects.
Networks are powerful, and we need to build up ours all over the country in different ways. But You speak with such passion,
Oh,
Mettassa. It just comes through, you know. Uh,
I
uh,
just I just want to
yeah,
share that with everyone, but also the next lot coming through. To show them that it's you can actually do this too. Not just you can go further
yeah,
than what I'm trying to do. But like I said, I'm on a journey that I'm just going with the paces, and
yeah.
everything's falling into place at the moment.
What excites you most about the prospect of conducting research in the field of health?
Just able to connect with not only patients but the doctors, the nurses. I used to be quite what do you say, reserved. I
Mm,
didn't want to kind of that power differential with the nurse and the doctor. Knowing they've been to uni, they've known this, but your voice matters. Your lived experience, your knowledge that you've been given and passed down, but also
mhm.
your new learnings. The respect for your community, the responsibility to your community, and you just want to do good for your community. And I think it excites me because I get to contribute to closing the gap from this space.
Yeah,
If I can make a little dent in that space, then strength in numbers. So the more First Nation researchers coming through this space can definitely put a few more dents and help
mm,
out our
mm.
mob, being able to influence procedures and policies to be changed, or work on strategies to help not only the patients but also our lovely clinicians. My thing is, we all need to do this together for a smoother journey for our patients coming through.
How do you believe your cultural heritage contributes to your perspective and an approach as a health researcher? Like, how are you different to non-Indigenous researchers?
I guess being Aboriginal, Torres Strait, and a South Sea Islander, I find it quite unique. My heritage and my background to be able to come in this space because we already know the protocol and
Yeah,
of how to interact with our mob. That connection is from the start. If you don't have that connection from the start, it just kind of fizzles out, and the body language shuts down. We're not talking about research straight up. We're talking you want to be approachable, accessible, to these patients. They might not warm up to you straight up, but like I said, I'm out being seen. I might have a bright shirt standing at the front of the hospital or walking through the halls and that. But it's breaking down that barrier too. Oh, what's this stuff? Oh no, you make them feel at ease. They kind of cue you when they want to yarn about the research that or the study that you're coming to approach them with. But none of that is done straight up. Like I said, it's all about that who you mob, where you're from, that protocol. It's the simplest thing to do, but I've actually got some of my colleagues, or that they've learned that now, and they're recruiting a lot more First Nation patients with that sort of process. So we're kind of
right.
learning off each other through the journey, and they're like, we can't wait to be able to come back and work with you, or we should come up with our own project. And wow, open my eyes up and people around, and it shows through the patients. The patients are going and telling their communities or back wherever they're from, and they'll remember what you did for them, what you action, how you made them feel, rather than he had a deadly shirt on, or he had deadly shoes, or he had a deadly title. Or they're not going to remember that. Just they're going to remember, hey, that lad at the front, they mistaken him for security, but he's the guy that's up in research. And like I said, I do get mistaken for ILO or health worker or anything, but like I said, yeah, that's fine. I know most of them and the deadly work they do because they're at capacity, but I also, so that when I tell them from research, that eyebrow raised, and I'm like, yes. So my main thing is, any time or spare time that I get, I go out the front and I ask mob about research. What do you think? And they say, look, we don't mind being a part of it. It's just where's that ongoing connection? Where's that ongoing? Even if it's just a call or something. I said, man, I'd probably have a job, trying to call back all the patients that I've seen and stuff like that. But I think, if we can say that we're connected, and I think through research, I got to call up, some of them to let them know the findings and what themes and stuff that we've found. So those yarns could be a bit longer than normal, but we kind of have to draw the line somewhere there.
The Indigenous grapevine is very effective.
Yeah, powerful.
You've sort of alluded to a lot of this, Mettassa, but how do you see your role as a health researcher impacting the health and well-being of your community?
Not only just me, I can't be across everything, but how good would it be to have a team from the same community that are passionate, that are wanting to be seen, wanting to create that safe space to say, like, research is safe. We have First Nations researchers leading these projects. That's what they want to see. They want to see the funding going that way. We're doing this to benefit the community, not just to get a PhD or a master's and stuff like that. That's all good for growth and development. And, we do have to look after ourselves in that space. But what's more important is the purpose, why we're here. And that's the patients. And, if they're not coming in the door, then how are we supposed to do what we do? And especially a lot of the ground workers, I take my hat off to them. They're deadly at what they do, and I kind of just want to, learn off them and I guess collaborate.
Yeah.
And how can we work as a team? Yes, I'm coming from a research perspective, but how can I contribute and make your job easier? Yes, you are very busy. A lot of these people are like, oh, we didn't know you were doing research, and I just said, well, I'd like to come and talk to your team. Even if it doesn't have to be, formal or anything. Just, we can sit down and have a yarn, and that's the best thing we could do, just to make them feel comfortable. I'm not there to go and dictate and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. You need to start doing this. No, it's just like, okay, you're still finding this isn't working. So, all right, let me give you some other, strategies, or have you looked at it in this way or from this lens? It's just, that's why I said we're all learning off each other, and the more we come together and be able to work as a team, it's just going to flow like I said, for the purpose of our patients coming in for their appointments.
That's fantastic, Mettassa. Could you tell us about any mentors or influential figures who have guided you towards a career in health research?
I probably have to say my uncle. He came to me. I was working in the coffee shop at the time, and gave me the, hey, what do you reckon about, working in health work, doing some health work? And I just said, oh, I've been meaning to get into it, but I couldn't really figure out a pathway of how to do that. But he gave me that opportunity, and I was able to work with chronic disease out in the community. ITC program, so just that interim level stuff. But I got to learn a lot about the community, but also where I guess it all would be the link between the doctors, the GPs, because we serviced mainly the mainstream GPs, all that support for our mob in there. So, but from that, he has, we had talks about him, what else does it look like after this? And he's now got his business and flourishing at the moment. So he's kind of looking at me like, oh, when you're ready. I said, well, let me finish what I've started here. But, like I said, he said, no, boy, you stay there and you keep doing the deadly work that you're doing, and you come over and when time is ready. So I said, oh, thank you for, thinking of me. But that's it all started from a yarn and a talk, but now he's actually doing that. But so that's very influential. But the likes of Professor Gail Garvey, I've done some work for her, and being able to present and sit next to her too. Like, I watched this lady just get up there and talk from a piece of paper, and it just, But now I see how big of an influence she is with not only advocating for our mob, but my eyes just like, I couldn't believe, it's overwhelming. Like, this lady, the team from Sydney, the Gunamana team down there, they have some special people there doing some big things and working on some great projects and on the up at the moment. So just having their guidance and mentorship has really helped me shape me in this research game and learning more about the methodology, Indigenous methodologies. And it's kind of like, Oh, wow. I had the opportunity to go to Flinders University and be a part of one of their courses they had there, and it really opened my eyes up with the data sovereignty and how important we are, and given the history and how we can influence a lot of things, not just through research. Like, it's so massively open. I'm just like, which way do I go and what route? But like I said, once you know your purpose, then you know what route you are going, and it's pretty much like if you know who you are too, you know where you're going. So I have a lot of mentors and influences here. Professor Amy downstairs, she's been awesome. Amy Brown. So I've been kind of just learning of her, and she's also learning a bit more of me too with her insight of learning about First Nations culture, but also how it looks in research. I was like, oh, this is so good to be partner up with a lot of people that are wanting to know, learn, be aware of these things. But also, she's like, oh, since you helped me out with this project, I wanna help you with this new project that you wanna be leading as a PI. It's ongoing, this journey.
Fantastic, Mettassa. So are there any specific research projects or area of study that you are particularly passionate about that you'd like to share on the podcast?
I'm so glad that you asked that question. It started off as an idea, and especially after COSA and presenting down there on the Gold Coast, it kind of sparked, how much we increase First Nations engagement into research, building those numbers and having a First Nations research coordinator, contribute to that. But one of the projects I'm working on, it's funny saying this, I'm never too used to saying a clinical research coordinator, but as a principal investigator on a pilot project. So we're currently working on a First Nations-led project that's building a First Nations research workforce at Townsville Hospital Health Service called the Restart Starter Program. Very passionate about working with and engaging with mob, but also creating a pathway for the next lot of First Nations researchers wanting to take up a career in research. But like I said, they're going to get mentoring, peer support all the way through. They actually get to work on projects that are already up and running, so they get hands-on in that space. But also, they get to learn off me and, I guess, go on a research journey with myself as well. So it's all in the introduction, and just come try it. It's not for everyone, but if you can take that knowledge back to your respected areas or units in the hospital, then I'm sure there's research coming that way, and you'll be able to talk on that and learn the ethics and governance as well. They'll be able to have a big impact there, getting everyone aware of it. That, like, this project could, it could lead to bigger, better things. Like I said, I just want to do it small, be patient with it, whatever ventures out from it.
Sounds
but it's
great.
quite exciting. Yeah, I'm kind of nervous at the same time, but kind of, a bit of both.
Well, that's the challenge, I think.
Yeah. We don't know what it looks like or what it hears like, but like I said, we're in with having our ethics and governance ready to go, and just waiting for a bit of ATSILAC to get through it and have a review, and if they support it and endorse it. It's only a 12-month program, but like I said, they'll be well mentored and peer support. And I'm happy to invite any of the other researchers that we have here that are First Nations to contribute and pop in, and any of their advice. We're going on this journey together, but there is a need, and then I can contribute from the research umbrella and to closing the gap, or health equity, I guess. It's a very new challenge, but I'm looking forward to it, because time just flies when you're having a good time, as we can say, almost coming up to 3 years, and being able to learn such a great deal in a short amount of time. It's just, all these little knickknacks and how to add into your practice, makes you a better researcher, So I'm here, like, got a notepad, or whoever I'm, surrounded with, or I can pick up a little, and then put my flavor on it, what works for me, and hopefully it shows through, not only through my passion, but also through the work and how it's presented.
What would you say to a 16 or 17-year-old Mettassa about choosing a career direction?
Probably say to him to just, it's okay not to know what you want to do or where you're going at the moment, but be a sponge like how I've just, done, and at the moment, take it all in until you find your purpose or something that you're very interested in, and follow that. Be confident, be patient, but willing to come out of your comfort zone and take that leap with any opportunities that come your way. The normal pathway is, from school to uni, but it could be to school to a job in health in the hospital or community, and then back to uni, or while you're at working. It's a thing that I never thought that it could be an option. I just saw the one way uni straight after high school. But I would say for him, yeah, definitely take that time, find your purpose, keep respecting the elders, and they'll lead you and guide you through this journey, not only through that side, but also through whoever you're working with. Learn off the people that are here in the space, because they have so much knowledge and they're going to help you along the way through your work journey.
Well, thank you, Mettassa, for generously sharing your insights with us today.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your support of Nurturing Knowledge, Indigenous Health Research Stories in Podcasts. This podcast is part of OCA's collective vision to develop the next generation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander researchers. We hope you found inspiration in this episode. If you have any questions or would like to share your thoughts, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at www.ocanetwork.org or via email at oca@uq.edu.au. Stay tuned for more enriching stories to come.